All right. Alrighty. So, good evening, everybody. Welcome to the BNR Truck Series. Unfortunately, they are qualifying at night, but that's all right. No problem with that. Um, Alongside of me tonight is Will. Good evening, Will.
Yes, good evening, Brian.
Final Four, Phoenix. The wonderful Phoenix, as every year where it ends to at Phoenix. I did make a little oopsie again where they're qualifying at night, so it'll be a little bit more, probably a little bit more slick out on track. But the final four going into tonight are Richard, Mark Berry, Josh, and Joe. Um, but anyway, while you're in here, we'll let you go ahead and do the little history behind this wonderful track here.
Yes, indeed, Brian. Phoenix International Raceway, originally made in the early 80s. IndyCar initially ran out here first to be the first major series to run out here on this track, if I'm not mistaken. Then in the late 80s, I believe 87 or 88 was when NASCAR first came here to Phoenix International Raceway. Throughout the years, it's been reconfigured. The track, as far as the start finish line, has been flipped or just crossed over. Um, you know, so used to be grass on the back straightaway. Now there's nothing. There's no grass at all inside this track. I would say it's got some characteristics to it. It's pretty agey as far as the racing surface. It's fairly old from when they last did any configuration to it as far as tampering or resurfacing. When they last, before they flipped the track, they renovated a few years, a handful of years before that. But notable finishes, Kevin Harvick had, I think he holds the win record here for most wins here at Phoenix. And him and Carl Edwards had a really side-by-side finish whenever it might have been the year Carl went over to Joe Gibbs Racing, had that photo finish here. Um, the Truck Series has ran here, I want to say, for every year of the Truck Series existence from 94, 95. So, if I'm not mistaken, I'm pretty sure I think it's the only track on the schedule to always be on the schedule. I think I might be wrong, but it's could be the longest running track on the schedule. Um, yeah, just over a mile in length, Phoenix Raceway, and like Brian alluded to, it normally holds the final race of the season in Sim World and also in the real world now that it's been hosting the final race of the season for a handful of years now. So,
Yes, sir, indeed, it has been. But the two playoff drivers will be up front with each other, which will be Richard Johns and Barry. So, who's got the phenomenal truck to survive at the end? If I do recall, they were getting like 64 to 65 laps of fuel. So,
yes, indeed, Brian. So, for sure, going to have to see a pit stop at some point within a certain window. I would say maybe uh, lap 40 or maybe lap 35 or so. when that window will open, as far as you would be good to go on the rest of the way on fuel. Tires might be a key factor as far as, just if a late race caution was to occur, maybe come in, get a fresh set of tires. Uh, you know, Long runs at Phoenix is mainly all about tire management, trying to save those tires.
Yes, sir. I want to go over a little race day information real quick, Will, then we'll go over the starting grid. So, we're in Avondale, Arizona. The track length itself is a mile track. The current track temp right now, Will, is 81 degrees. The weather outside itself is 80 degrees, 33% humidity, clear with an 8 mile per hour wind. They have 80 laps, which is 80 miles, 80% fuel, unlimited tires, 1 quick fix, and 3 attempts at a GWC. So, now we'll go over the starting grid here. So P1 will be Brandon Moore. Oh wait, I made a oopsie. P1 would be Brandon Moore. P2 would be Mark Berry. P3 would be Richard Johns. P4 would be Troy. P5 will be Joe. P6 would be Josh. P7 will be JD. P8 would be Chris. P9 will be Michael. And P10 will be Austin Moore. So now that we got the two in here of Troy and Brandon, we'll see out of one of those two who has the better stance. So see here, the drivers are getting ready to pull out of the track. Will,
Yes, indeed, Brian. Going out for the initial pace lap of this evening to start this race. Championship deciding BNR Truck Series race here this evening. A long pit road, so if we do have a green flag run to make that scheduled pit stop that we're looking forward to this evening, it's a long, grueling pit road. And you have plenty of time to accidentally speed, but nevertheless, here we go, rolling into the start/restart zone. Brandon Moore qualified on pole.
Out
inside lane.
Yep.
Yes, indeed. I was going to say inside lane gets a good start and is up and away. Mark could have been a bit conservative, didn't want to get a penalty for jumping the start, and we already have a truck around, possibly J.D. O'Brien in the 7 truck.
Good evening, Dave. Oh, he got on the gas too hard. I'm surprised that's not a caution. The cautions are set on, so maybe iRacing's like, A lot of the officials
do be that way sometimes.
A lot of the officials are like that too. The cautions that should come out don't come out. So
like we have already talked about, this is a championship deciding race. 4 drivers up for grab, or 4 drivers fighting for what is up for grabs, the Truck Series championship this evening.
Yeah.
You said Joe Stipe, Josh Small,
Mark Berry, and Richard Johns.
Berry, and Richard Johns. So doesn't necessarily have to win the race, just has to finish ahead of those others. Don't want to be like how the regular TV really tries to nail that in your head of they have to win this race.
Nope, just one got to finish ahead of the other.
And then whenever they get to the point to where, oh no, a championship favorite's not going to win the race, we now have to backtalk it. But that's part of the showbiz, I guess, of bringing it to you on the television, which, in a way, this is what we're doing too. Anywho, but I just wish that they wouldn't hype it up as much, like, oh, they gotta win this race. But yeah, Joe has proven to be pretty stout and consistent on the short tracks, and I would say capable of just being able to have a good finish. The only thing that really beats Joe is mainly, uh, I don't want to say live action pit stops, but it can. Joe can get bit making green flag pit stops. We've seen it before, but that's also what I talked about as we were coming to green, how long this pit lane is here at Phoenix. One of the longest pit lanes on the circuit, if not the longest.
Oh yeah. And just so you know, oh, excuse me. Austin Moore and Brandon Moore are no relations at all for those who are watching. They just ironically managed to have the last name, so have the same last name.
Hey, there's somebody on iRacing, William N. Roberts. No relation to me whatsoever.
Yeah.
So, it is funny how many times I have heard one of you guys be in a race with him, and it's like, hey, Will, is this your cousin? And I go, no, not even my twin brother. Could you imagine if twin of me, and then they don't even like all the same stuff as me? I'd probably have, that they wouldn't probably be around anymore. I'd be like, I can't tolerate you. I'm just gonna pretend you ran away. I'll bury you in the backyard. I mean, but yes, Joe, I would say Joe's looking pretty decent at the moment. He's got Daggett. He's under fire from Daggett. But Daggett's really attacking these corners.
Well, he ends up managed to have the long run speed, so.
I feel like I almost want to place a bet with you, but I have no money to place a bet. But I almost want to say that Joe will finish ahead of Josh tonight.
That could be.
I don't want to be like, someone else we know and be like taking that bet, like just putting like $1 or $5 down. Cameron, I mean, yeah, it's okay. It's a fun night. We go after everybody. Yes, Mark Berry. He is currently in the lead of the championship for hopefuls. Currently pulling up on the back of JD, who had a really bad, what was that, the opening lap, the second lap of the race? I think that was the first lap. Just really bad first lap.
But if they end up getting the caution.
Yep, he's the first truck, one lap down. He is the lucky dog contender at the moment. But Richard's staying within a stranglehold of Mark. What lap are we on, Brian?
13.
Lap 13. 13 laps into this race. Stream is a little bit far behind at the moment. I'm sure it'll catch up, but I was just curious. So 14 laps into this race, and Mark currently in second. He's comfortable there. As Brandon Moore, he's been sick here recently. That possibly has been why he hasn't showed up the past couple of Tuesdays. Also, maybe running home from work later than normal as well. But yeah, probably feels better this evening to be here. That's why he's here. So good to see Brandon this evening. As Richard there makes his way by J.D. O'Brien.
Richard's got a good momentum at the moment compared to Mark. Not that far off of Mark, that's for sure. Richard could have possibly set his car up for the long run pace. So,
I feel like this is 4 more guys more than we had last year for the truck finale.
yes.
So, not bad.
I think what a
Oh, there we go. The stream tried to catch up there. Do you think what? Come on, spit it out. You were thinking. Get
next
back to it.
season they'll have a reworked truck schedule. Um, at
And
least
hopefully it'll entice the guys to maybe stick around longer and maybe have a playoff system where, yeah, people will get locked in, but maybe no eliminations or who knows. Just lots of. We got a couple of weeks, a handful of weeks, a month really. Maybe not necessarily starting the trucks back up again until after New Year, but
yes,
planning on
our
hoping to.
our starting we're trying will probably be in February, like the
Right,
actual
right.
week that NASCAR does their stuff, but we'll probably go not too sure, and we have a lot of things in mind, and we just want to make sure we
Exactly.
get it right and do everything the correct way, restructure a few things and all that, get an actual schedule together, make it fair across the board to everybody, so put some more of an oomph behind it.
Exactly. Just talks are always ongoing about what to do, what not to do, what could, be done.
And I think the one thing that we had talked about was no playoffs, just points all the way to the end. Which is, I believe, which would be probably be a lot more fair. So then you keep everybody in the works and duking it out. So just have to wait and see, and hopefully see what next season brings. So
So already just
Dave says Brandon Race winner, Richard Truck champion. I believe it's a battle of the long runs and saving those tires. That could be a
oh,
possibility, but we don't know what Mark's actually doing. That's the other problem. So Richard did quite a few Phoenix officials, so I guess we'll just have to wait and see. So
this is a strong opinion coming from a previous race winner and race contender with these Truck Series racers here in the BNR Truck Series. So he knows what these guys are capable of doing and performing. So I don't want to fully agree because it may be a sprint race, so to speak. It kind of uh, race format was reworked for this evening as far as event distance, but nevertheless, we do have to make a pit stop. Uh, Caution could still fly at any moment. Anything can happen. The race is not over.
correct. But anyway, Will Austin Moore made it up to P5, so he's figured something out with that truck to be able to get by Josh and Joe. So
And now look at that. Josh has uh, approached Joe now. Back here. Joe had pulled away from him, but with Joe's, don't want to say hard charging award, but just, how Joe likes to drive. He really gets to it at times. But Josh is ultra conservative, I would have to say. Just think of super conservative or, that's some good close racing. I think they're battling to be, if this race plays out like it is right now, they're battling to be who's going to be third, second runner up in the championship. And Joe, wow, almost hit the wall. He
I was gonna
kind
say
of
he
really
about almost
overdrove
flipped
the
that
corner
wall.
because of that. But as long as he's keeping Josh at bay and JD really doing a stand-up job for Joe here, just being a good pick at the moment. But oh man, Joe got crossed up on the entry, and really good, tight, hard nose racing here for what is that? Sixth position.
Yes.
So. And Joe still didn't let him by either. Joe has
So,
really made Josh work for this, that's for sure. But looking back up closer towards the front of the field, 51 truck, Richard
Richard,
Johns.
yeah, ever
I'm getting
so
to it.
slightly, yes, sir, you are. Ever so slightly starting to reel in Mark. Um, the question is, though, when do they pit? Is a couple of them going to try to short do it, or are they exactly going to come in exactly on the scheduled pit distance?
You know, I almost think if you can stay within reason to the guy that you're chasing or are trying to race with, and what I mean by that, if you can still see him, if he's a big enough dot out of your windshield, if he hasn't turned into a speck, if he hasn't turned into a pebble, if he's still a good sized rock, boulder size, out your windshield, say at Phoenix you got a deficit of a half a second to, a second and a half, you could probably undercut short pit a few laps before your competitor. Don't know how many laps because we have no idea when these guys are really truly going to think about wanting to pit. We just know their fuel mileage, so your guess is as good as ours, truly. But do you pit when the window opens? Do you go that 20 extra laps longer, or however many laps longer it could be till the truck runs out? What do you do? We don't know. That's why we're talking about this. So, um, Phoenix could be one of these tracks that prove to have maybe, with the tire wear, Brian, just as well as I do how the tire wear can be at Phoenix. So could Phoenix be, as Josh finally looks like he pulled a slide job on Joe, got around Joe. Phoenix could be a track that may be see the undercut actually perform and do well, but that's a lot of ifing, like a lot of a lot of things has to fall in line in order for that to happen. The person you're racing against, well, they got to stay out longer. So whenever you do short pit, you can actually, you know, make the fresh tires be beneficial to where whenever they do pit, you're going to be ahead of them by at least 3 seconds, hopefully. At least 3 seconds. That's the whole point of the undercut, to come in sooner and hopefully have an advantage somehow, uh, to overlap the person you were racing against, to stay ahead of that person, to get ahead of that person.
Oh, yeah. You see here Troy Daggett getting to the inside of Richard.
Yeah, Troy truly uh, finds some long run capable speed. Like you said, he really shines when the run goes long.
If I'm
And
Richard, I'm just
we're
going to
over
try to
30.
keep the draft with him to get up to Mark.
No, he just wants to keep Mark within range. Don't fall too far behind. Not You don't want to fall as far as Joe and Josh are. They are over 17 seconds off of the race lead, so they're probably, give or take 14 seconds or so away from where Mark Berry is. The leading championship hopeful.
Yes, well, I agree with you. I think Richard hit the wall there. It's going to be a little rough there. Hopefully he didn't nick it too hard. I see here Michael Day going to get out the way for Mark.
Michael Day is the next person to go a lap down here this evening. He will follow J.D. O'Brien as going one lap down to the lead lappers this evening. And Brandon Moore, the race leader. Chris Camary will be the next person, if not already has gone a lap down to the race leader, Brandon Moore. Closing in, if not already there, halfway to go. If not, like I said, already past it.
Next time by will be a lap 40.
And 4. I have to make assumptions and guesses with the lap timing, so.
Yep, they now hit lap 40.
So it looks about, Mark is staying at least a second and a half ahead. That looks to be at least a second and a half ahead of Richard here. But like we talked about, if it stays green here, Phoenix races, they normally go one way, but they can go the other, that is what is happening this evening. Knock on some nuclear-powered wood, just in case anything happens and I get yelled at later. But we don't want to see a high list of casualties. It just, anywho, but Troy Daggett looking to the inside here of Mark Berry, but Mark Berry going to have that epic run with that high side, or that outside lane here
There you go.
at Phoenix.
Richard pitted.
Oh, wow. So, as some suspected, pitting when the window might be opportune to throw it down in there and pit.
Mark's coming in. Chris is coming in.
Okay, so Mark is like, hey, I see what you're gonna do. I'm gonna trump that, and I'm just gonna pit the next time by, because I don't need you coming out and getting ahead of me on fresh tires while I stay out here, 10 or so more laps, right?
So that'll move Will Austin Moore up to P3, and then Daggett to P2, and Brandon Moore P1. Josh will move up to 4th. Stipe 5th.
Now, Brandon, everybody else except for the other 2 championship hopefuls are out here to, be a part of the race, but also try to win the race, do good, just be a part. Why not? But right now, they're really hoping for a caution, because they would have track position, and, that would put Richard and Mark one lap down, and Joe and Josh could battle it amongst themselves like they've already been doing, right? So, this is a very interesting time, that's for sure. So Brandon didn't go too much farther, maybe about 5 laps.
Well, I wonder. And Daggett comes in, so Austin Moore's probably going to cycle out to be leader. But now, well, you got 2 cars playing a big key into this, with Barry right behind him. So Richard's going to get that extra little bit of an advantage of pulling away more. So if I'm Richard, I'm just going to conserve every ounce of tires I got, and just pace myself. And right there, Josh Small is now your race leader.
Well, Josh Small, the race leader currently, also, like I just talked about, in the boat of hoping for a caution. All right, he's doing that caution dance in his seat right now. You just know he is. Because like I just talked about, He may or may not want it because, to be honest, Brian, people are getting his lap back. People are getting their lap back, and as if people is a he. Not in this day and age. Anyway, so I just had to go back and correct my mistake I made in English and grammar and thinking process. But yeah, what a trying time in this race to just do different. Who is gonna short pit? Who's gonna try to do what? Who's gonna counter this?
So now 1 lap down is Austin Moore, and then Chris. But Josh has yet to pit, so that'll.
So Brandon got back on the lead lap.
Yes, Brandon. Brandon has so much of a lead to
Brandon,
where he didn't go a lap down.
Brandon, Mark, and Richard are back on the lead lap, right? Wait, Richard's in front of Mark, right?
Yes, that's what I was saying.
Wow.
He's got at least almost a 3-second lead over Mark.
Okay, tables have turned. Either pit stop, outlap, something happened.
Well, he was also cut up in between.
Yeah, some lap traffic and what have you.
Yeah.
So that plays a little bit more into it, but maybe he could have had a second longer pit stop, perhaps.
Probably.
Something happened because he lost a lot of ground to just a 1 lap differential because he pitted the next lap after Richard, right? So
yes.
I wouldn't think that, I could see maybe if it was a huge, like maybe Richard pitted, 3 or so laps before, but maybe 5, I don't.
So 51 of 80 in the books.
So what you're saying is there's 29 laps to go?
Yes.
Wow, this race just flying by. Caution free. And we are well past halfway, so. How ironic the championship deciding race can possibly go caution free, Brian. How ironic.
Yes, and then throughout the season we had quite a few hiccups in races and stuff like that. But Austin would like a caution. I know he would. But Richard's eyes know he wouldn't.
JD having a problem just a few laps ago from the stream. That was at lap 48-49, so we're already, at 54-55?
Yes.
Okay, so, yeah, like I said, that was a few laps ago, and I'm unfortunately just... There you go. Just now seeing it because stream delay and what have you, but that's okay. Part of it.
But Josh is still out on track. I think this is going to hurt.
Well...
26 to go this time.
Both Josh and Joe are still out on track, right? Like, Joe hasn't pitted yet either. So, if I was Joe, I would have probably pitted a few laps ago, at least, to be off sequence of Josh.
Oh, he did, because he's a lap down. So, the only one that didn't pit was Josh.
Josh is still out on track currently, you say? So he's probably just trying to go the distance with that fuel, like we were talking about earlier. But like you say, Brian, this is a tragic call. This is one of those Denny Hamlin times in the Championship 4 where, either a piece of tape, a jack fell, something happens, or just unfortunate. I don't think this was definitely not the right call, Brian.
No, I agree with you, Will, because Brandon is now in his sights right there. I think Josh is pitting this time. Yes, he
But in
is.
a way, like, what are you going to do? Like, it's kind of a 50-50, like, with just the other two guys you're racing for this championship, right? Mark Berry and Richard Johns. Richard, pretty consistently better, more so than Josh at times, you'd have to say. Just, finding a little bit better positioning throughout the races, I guess you could say, in that regard. And because they both showed up to the same amount of races, if not all of them. So it's all about trying to find that speed, trying to find that track position. And,
So Joe pitted 5 laps ago, according to Dave.
So he could have an undercut and come out, come out ahead. Like, he could jump Josh.
So 22
like
to go.
He could be ahead of Josh.
No, sorry, 21. He is going to be ahead of Josh.
So that's great for Joe's point of view. How many to go?
21. $20 laps to go now in the books.
You mean 60's in the books, 20 to go?
Yes. Mark Berry to the outside, Daggett to the inside.
Yeah, Daggett's long run speed coming back on these tires. This somewhat new set of tire. Trying to find a way by Mark Berry. As that is a lap machine of Joe Stipe. He is the first truck, 1 lap down in 7th position. Austin Moore, though, next truck to fall victim a lap down in the 1 machine.
Yes, he is. Oh, well, that 9 is ever so slightly running down.
In the 51. Yeah, I'd have to agree with you on that, but Daggett is really applying the pressure, I'd have to say, to Mark. One lap, does it truly make a difference?
Because there's the caution.
Oh, wow, the caution does fly here this evening with less 20 laps to go in this race. What's it going to be for? Who's it going to be on? Oh no, what happened to Austin? He had just probably won a lap down, or was about to go a lap down. Not 100% sure where he was with scoring and timing before this transpired.
He was still in the lead lap.
10-4. Oh,
man, that's gonna hurt.
It's not that he had a coming together with
Chris.
Oh, that was Chris Camary. I didn't recognize because it's.
So as you watch here, as we go into turn Well, the dog leg here.
I just
I
think it was one of those cases of Chris didn't know that Austin was going to come up like he did and have that wide arc into the corner that Austin was wanting to try to get. Because as you can see here, you know, I just don't think he knew he was kind of going to be there. And by the time he started to turn into the corner, it could have been a bit too late. But then again, it just, they were racing awful hard for that position, perhaps. Or I think Chris was actually a lap down.
Yeah, he
He was
was.
2 laps down, I think. So could have just been a bad case of what I just kind of said there, just kind of described, like Chris not necessarily knowing that Austin was way down on the flat like he was, because Austin didn't venture down there, and the spotter only clears you for so much, right, Brian?
Yes.
Your spotter only clears you for so much space. Wow, Richard had a big moment that I'm just now talking about. I just now
Yeah.
caught it.
I guess he came out of the pits,
Wow.
took his tires, and he did a little something
That's one
something.
way to heat them up.
I was gonna say that's what I gotta
That's
go back and watch that.
Denny Hamlin, How to Lose a Championship 2.0. Like, Denny Hamlin, write this down, learn some lessons. Like, man, that could have been a lot. Like, how did he catch that? Wow. Bro, that could have been so much worse, but it was like, he almost said Yeetus the Cletus right there. Like, he was, what are you, get, bruh. I'm gonna play wackadoodle doo with a. I better not say, we might get taken off the air by PETA, but um. Anywho, interesting chain of events that has unfolded, unraveled here this evening. Caution came out here late in the going. I'd have to say this is gonna spice things up. So Mark notoriously good at short run speed, and it looks like he might have that inside lane restarting. Yes, he is. He's going to be restarting behind the race leader, Brandon Moore. But what type of hard charging maneuver is Richard going to do in that outside lane barreling into turn one? Is he going to charge it in as deep as he can and try to match Mark Berry through the center of the corner? And Brandon Moore is away.
Oh, that was just a little mistake there. He thought that he was going all the way down to the apron like prior times, and that happened. So I'm sure Richard did apologize in one way or another. So might as well watch this restart. That looked like a little bit of neck though, to be honest with you. Oh, that's gonna hurt. A little bit, I would say.
Who was that
I T-boned him.
yes, I'm going to see it here
So,
in the replay. Oh, man. So three of the, so did, wow, Josh got by that. Did Josh just got back on the lead lap too, didn't he?
yes. So Josh is fourth.
Wow.
If I'm Richard, I'm coming in quick fix because that tire is rubbing up on that fender there. Oh look at all four of them. Joe, Josh,
Well,
Richard, and Mark all pitting.
this is a mad turn of events here this evening.
I
I
do.
am speechless. We ran, what was it, 65 laps, caution free,
Yes.
and just,
Let's see if we can give a hoot and a holler to Brandon real quick.
like I said, anything can happen in racing. Yeah, let's drag somebody. Let's reach out with the cane here. Let's drag somebody.
Brandon,
What's up?
how are you, sir?
I'm doing pretty good, you.
We're doing all right. So, how's that Sour Patch Chevy doing out there?
She drives good. No complaints. Not loose, not tight, just pretty neutral. It's a good handling race car.
Oh, yeah.
For you, Brandon, in this little 80-lap dash here for this championship decider in the Truck Series, were you expecting the green flag running like we saw, and then now all of a sudden chaos? Like what has transpired here? Like, what in the world, Brandon?
Yeah, I pretty much anticipated a pretty long green flag run there. You know,
Really?
we don't have yeah, we don't really have that big a field. I figured if they can get it spread it out far enough, they'd be a good run there. But yeah, everybody's did a good job so far.
Oh, and then some people found one another after the pit stops and
Yeah,
whatnot.
what happened there on that restart? What happened with that contact?
Richard thought that Mark was going to go down to the apron, but there was a little bit of net code that played involved in that ordeal. So,
Oh, so he didn't go to the apron, and Richard went
Yeah.
to the yellow line on the dog
Yeah.
leg. Is that what happened?
Yep.
Yeah, Richard went down to say hello to somebody he thought was gonna go down on the acreage, but he was like, "No, I want to stay up here." And Richard's, I'm just speechless at this moment in time, Brandon. But
I feel you.
But anyway, best of luck to you. Now you guys are going back to green, so.
Oh, heck yeah. We're going to go get them.
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. I know you don't like a lot of finesse.
oh, you're good.
All right, well.
Yeah, we heard earlier he didn't like. Yeah. We don't want to get on his bad side. That's for sure. Here we go. Green flag back out in the air. Who's gonna win this championship? Anyone's game. I mean, we just throw it down in there. See who's gonna get what. Brandon with a good hole shot jump here. What lap is this?
6 laps to go. Coming to 5.
All right. Awesome. So 5 laps to go this time. Look at Troy Daggett. Troy Daggett with some good short run speed here, trying to apply something, anything. We've seen him win 2 races. Can he win 3? That would be what, 3 in a row?
Oh, Richard hit that wall. Got Mark a little closer.
You're some big help, Brian. I'm like, hey, is that going to be 3 in a row? Long pause, and then you're just like mind blank. But yes, back here, the championship deciding battle, the championship hopefuls, Richard Johns, Mark Berry going at it as well. After their whoopsie-daisy moment, that was a heck of a save by Mark. He almost planted it in the wall. You have no idea how close he came. Really trying to arc it down, get away from the competitor behind.
And to answer your question, I don't know. They seem to be running a little even at the moment, but I think Brandon has a better 1 and 2 than Daggett. So if Daggett can hit his marks a little better than Brandon, then I think he can have something for Brandon. So 2 laps to go, Will.
That's a valid point.
It's all, like I said, this track's a rhythm track too as well. So with Mark hits the wall there, that's going to hurt a little bit. That's going to give Richard
That is a huge shot.
Yes, it was. Just to give Richard a little pull. White flag is out. Final lap here in the BNR Truck Series, as Richard could become the 2023 BNR Truck Series.
And who's that battling back there with
Josh.
Mark now? Josh. Now Josh said, "Hey Joe, I'm going to take third away from you, possibly take second." As who's going for the lead? Is it still Brandon? Josh taking?
Oh,
he's in
Josh.
Joe, no, Joe's not going to get there in time. So Josh comes home third in the championship. Richard takes the championship. Mark in second.
So Richard wins the overall championship here tonight. Congrats to him. Well deserved. I know they had that little coming together on that restart, but a little misinterpretation there of couldn't use the dog leg, but as they said earlier, I guess he's going to let Brandon celebrate here, and then he'll go out and do his celebration.
Yes, Brandon Moore winning the race here this evening. Holding off Troy Daggett late stages, late race charge by Troy, able to pull some late race speed there at the end as far as...
You called it. He goes, when I'm right about Brandon and Richard, I'm right. Oof.
Well, I mean, it was a good call. I just didn't want to call it till, it was looking to be, you never can tell what the outcome of a motorsport race can be, whether it be NASCAR, sports cars, any, super bikes. It doesn't matter. Richard burning it down, celebrating long and consistent Truck Series season. Like he talked about, had that coming together late in the race with Mark. But
I would have loved to have Dave here through the whole thing, but we kept Dave in because he well deserved it. So hopefully next season he can come back stronger and actually fight with these boys for another championship here. So overall, well, I'll say a very good championship race. Would have preferred a little bit more trucks, but it does happen. We mid-seasoned it, summertime, and unfortunately that's what it is. But now these boys can enjoy the holidays with their families and unwind for the holidays until we pick back up again in February. But overall, congratulations to Richard, overall championship in the BNR Truck Series. Awesome to have Austin Moore back out here. A hell of a run back, actually, by all the four. Josh Berry, Josh, and Joe. Well deserved. If I could talk to all four of them tonight, I will. So I guess Richard finished third, so we'll go ahead and pull up Richard here while we have him.
There they are.
Yeah, here we are. How's it going, sir?
Pretty good now that I just won the truck championship.
I was gonna say you did a hell of a job trying to hold them off. That pit strategy helped a little bit with getting ahead of whatever his face is. Sorry, Mark. Getting ahead of Mark in that pit stop. He got held up a little bit by a little bit of Josh, Joe and JD. So overall, how would you say your overall performance here tonight went for you? I would say a pretty hell of a good job, I would say.
Well, first and foremost, I need to apologize to Mark Berry. I said it over the comms, but I need to say it again. There was no intent to wreck him on that restart prior to the last one. To me, from the inside the truck, it looked like we netcoded, but we all know in netcode you're still going to make contact. I don't know if I just was going to try to go down further on the apron, or if he was coming up more. Either way, we still made contact, and it was on me 100%, and it was no intent to do it at all. But other than that, the truck was great, handled great. Was a little loose on the first run, but after that, it was fine. And then I just tried to play a little bit of pit strategy and pit it halfway, and yeah, it just kind of worked out.
Yes, sir. I forgot what I was going to say, so I'll let Will take over until I figure out what I was going to say.
Well, congratulations, Richard, on this championship. Tell us about how it feels winning here this evening as far as the championship goes. Wasn't the race. Brandon had his own struggles, and he was also leading this race and whatnot. There is a separate winner this evening. I guess you could say fortunately, unfortunately, however you'd like to say it. Basically, in this format, the winner doesn't have to be the champion. But in this case, championship deserving. I feel all four that made it were championship deserving, and you very consistent season. I think earlier you were able to show up to every race but once, something to that effect. So very consistent when you were showing up. Top fives, top tens. You were leading laps at most tracks, most events. You were up there, getting podium finishes. Exactly what you needed to do to keep having momentum on your side to win this championship. So, explain just what you were going through, like the strategy thinking of just trying to beat Mark. Mark seemed like he was the one you were having to deal with. Josh and Joe were in their own battle as well. Kind of, it seemed like who was going to get third at one point, in the championship. So, just tell us how it feels, and also about how tonight went as well in general.
Well, it feels great to be a champion for one. I mean, who wouldn't want to be one? But this is the first championship I've won since running the Heat Series with everybody, and I just going into it, I knew that if certain people were to show up that were a little bit quicker than me, like Brandon Moore or Troy Daggett, those guys have the pace to be out front the whole time. But my main concern was staying ahead of Mark Berry, Josh, and Joe. So my mindset was try to be faster than them, not be faster than the overall leader and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, I mean, just is a very, very long season. It was a lot of work went into it. I think I improved from week one to now. Even though week one was Daytona, but still, I've been trying to put the time in like everybody else has and try to be there at the end of these things.
Yes, sir, indeed. You did a great job, I would say, from start to finish. Some hiccups here and there, a little, excuse me, involvement with other trucks throughout the season, but overall, I'd say a dominant performance tonight with the amount we had. Your truck looked strong on a longer run for majority of it, so once again, congratulations on the locking up the championship of 2023. Any shout outs or anything you want to give?
Yeah, I got to give a shout out to you guys and all my competitors out there. I know we started with like 30 something trucks at the beginning of the year, and then it kind of dwindled down. But for everybody that stayed, big thumbs up, and hopefully the BNR will continue to do some great things with the Truck Series and the other series that they're getting ready to run for next season. But yeah, other than that, it's been a great day.
I would say so. Well, awesome job, sir. You deserved it. Not the way you wanted it to go on the last restart, but mistakes happen. So, awesome job. Go crack open a few cold ones and just, enjoy it.
I'm going to try, but I appreciate it.
No problem. So there you go. Now we'll talk to old Troy here. I'll let you do the honors, Will. Troy.
How's it going, guys?
Well, good to be talking to you again. Except I believe you were going for 3 in a row, but you're not batting 1,000 anymore, Troy. You're down to like 750, 500, something like that. So um, tonight's race, Phoenix. You showed there like we had a couple of short runs there, or did have a really short run, I should say. I really thought, man, you were going to drive it in a little bit more deeper than what you had been earlier in the evening, and maybe might have something for Brandon, but maybe you might have needed a couple of more laps, Troy.
Nah, I tried giving it on that last restart once I got clear of Richard. I tried to give him everything I had. I ran my fastest lap at 27.28, and he ran this 27.1 at the same time. So I just needed more practice in the trucks. I mean, one time laps I had was qualifying and the race, so I should have got on early, but I couldn't. So, but it was a great race. It was fun. Once I learned how far I could push it, I could I got it rocking and going. So
What were you having to, I guess you could say, struggle or kind of deal with throughout the race, Troy, as far as handling of the truck and just so forth in the long run that we had before we had the caution periods of which we did. So just explain possibly what you were having to kind of deal with to maintain that long run speed that you were showing.
well, at the start, the truck was, if you drove it in too hard and everything, it was loose for me. So that's why the back my entry a little bit was to make it not so loose, and as the truck went on, the race went on, it didn't get as loose for me, whereas everyone else was pushing and starting to get loose. My truck was feeling great for saving those tires for the long run.
Yes, indeed. Saving those tires. And it is a skill, nevertheless, and one that is always takes it can take a good minute to acquire. So, got any final shot? Yes, I'm trying to combine the words shout out and thoughts. Not going too good. So, got any final thoughts or shout outs, Troy? Maybe anything else you'd like to add about tonight's race, Troy?
Yeah, it's like the shout out to you guys for broadcasting and putting this league on. Also, another shout out to Brandon. He's a great truck driver. You guys gave me a warning about him, told me he was good, and he is. So I got some work to do over the off season for next year's truck race to race up with him. I'd like to thank 15 Studios, my wife and kids for letting me drive here. Get on here on iRacing and race. And once again, Brian and Will for announcing for us this great race.
Well, and everything, and appreciate you showing up, being here, wanting to be a part of the BNR league, and also like, hey, if you're free and available on Thursdays, and if you own one of the many 87 models of cars, feel free to come out, and I'm sure you're more than welcome to come and run with these guys on Thursdays in the 87 series that we got going during the winter. So yeah, I'm just saying, feel more than welcome if you're available. Don't feel like you're obligated or like we're holding you at gunpoint or nothing. Just just come on out if you're able.
Yeah, I know you guys aren't holding me at gunpoint. That is Tuesday's the one day I can get off at 4 and get home at a decent time to hop on. Other than that, I'm off at 5 Pacific time. Then by the time I get home, I get home it's 8:25. So I think my wife might get a little mad at me if I hop on iRacing right away.
I keep forgetting you're over there in that West Coast, way over there in that past. I'm just kidding. Those trippy time zones, man. They can be a really, whoa, like you're that far, back, or like you're it's what time for you? But yes, congratulations on the runner-up. You almost got to Brandon. I'd say maybe, like I said, who knows? Like I feel like it depends on the track. You never can tell. I feel like you might have some fun races with him next season. I do see it happening. But yeah, congratulations on the podium, second place there, P2. And thanks for talking to us tonight, Troy. And hopefully you have a good night, man.
Thank you. You guys too.
Thank you, thank you. Next up, B More.
Brandon. Brandon.
He might have stepped
Brandon
away.
Moore. Punchbug. Punchbug. Punchbug?
That's right.
Anywho. So, race winner currently not here. I can not do Brandon Moore's accent, but I probably could if I got drunk enough. Whoa, where'd you go? Hey, we were bring him back. I just wanted to keep. Is he there now? Hello?
Hello?
Hello? Oh, that's Mark. Oh, you pulled a fast one on me. So, Mark,
Yes, I did pull a fast one.
interesting. Brian really tricked me there. Thought we were getting Brandon back, but we got Mark. So, Mark, you probably don't want to talk about tonight's race, but Brian wanted to talk, or at least try to get the final four championship competitors in and talk to him. I guess we're wanting to see how, just basically, from your perspective, your final thoughts of the season and overall, like how the race went for you. We saw it, but just how the race was going. It looked early on, or like at least halfway through. Uh, you know, uh, Before the pit stop, that you were in contention to grab the championship. What was the lap really a big difference of Richard pitting before you, or what happened in the pits? Like, did something happen that we didn't catch, Mark? Like,
No,
Mark?
that caution. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we got you.
Yes, now we can.
It was just one lap difference on tires. He got in front of me. I hit my marks on pit road.
That's
And then
great.
I was running down there at the before the caution came out. So I think I could have passed him if I didn't have that caution. And then on the restart on the that second to final restart, then I get hooked on the right side. So can't don't understand that, but
Did you were you just wanting to hold your line, and you just wasn't going to go down onto the flat of the track? You were just going to, like, you didn't want to go down there?
everybody was, when you go to a dog leg, everybody just has like a line that they want, they just drop down to and stuff. And then, I was already, looking at where my brake point is because I got to make sure I hit my brake point, and then I just get turned sideways.
Right. I feel that I didn't really say too much about it except whenever I kind of saw the replay to maybe piece it together, because live and then still, but thanks for giving me your perspective and your point of view on it, because I could see it from that angle as well, because that's how I would feel, to be honest. And it really kind of blows. It's a downer moment for sure, but nevertheless, you had a outstanding season. You had a multiple win season. You had so many good runs throughout, They looked for a while though, Mark, that unfortunately, at the start of the season, you kind of just kept getting caught up in a lot of stuff. You couldn't really show kind of the true potential that Mark Berry shows, and that's just being really good, consistent, and at times, yeah, you have really good short run speed, but there's other times where you can actually find that long run speed and be a true threat at a lot of tracks, and I think that's why a lot of people kind of sleep on you, and they just kind of maybe will kind of forget that you're a part of the race, I guess, because we've seen in other races, in the past where you kind of come back to life, or are you like, hey, I've been here, like I never really left, but yeah, I hate to say it, but yes, congratulations on that runner-up finish in the championship. Thanks for talking to us. Got any final thoughts about the season, or any shout-outs you'd like to give, Mark?
It was a fun season. Just would have liked to seen a little better outcome, of course, and just there's always next year.
Yes, indeed, Mark. I agreed with that. Hopefully, you can come back, just 10 times as better and get it for sure next year. Thanks for talking to us, and hopefully have a good night, Mark.
Thank you, guys.
Well,
right.
now I do believe we have caught up with the race winner, Brandon Moore.
Hello.
There he is.
Hello, Brandon.
Yeah, you pulled me and my stuff broke. Like everything froze.
Well,
It was
that
weird.
tends to be the norm nowadays. So yeah, another one of these decent, another typical driving Miss Daisy Brandon Moore races, I guess you could say, because you qualified on pole. You didn't really have any threat really until the end there with Troy. What did you think about Troy there? You didn't really see much of him, but he looks like he could be a threat to you somewhere down the road at some point or another.
Yeah, Troy, he's running. He's running good there at the end. I was shocked. I got me a good restart, and he was just hanging about a couple tenths back, and I was like, well, I'm gonna have to put the hammer down, I guess. We ain't gonna let him get an availability to just drive it in there on me. But no, he run good. Does some good pace out of him. Everybody ran good tonight, in my opinion. It's a good, clean race.
You kind of said earlier, whenever we initially dragged you in with the cane, that you actually expected the race to go green for some period of time. You just didn't know how long, but you expected some sort of a long run period, and we did get that. It was plus 60 laps green flag of running, and then bleeded caution moment happened. But just give me the mindset of why you kind of felt like that, and also why didn't you expect at least one caution in the first 5 to 10 laps here at Phoenix, as we normally see? Sometimes.
Just the quality of drivers that we have and how few of drivers that we actually had tonight. I figured if they could get it figured out early and learn how to not run each other over, we'd get some kind of green flag run. For a minute, I thought we were going to go caution free, and then I was watching the lappers, the two that actually caused the caution. I'm like, these guys are going to wreck here in about 2 laps. You know what they did? About 2 laps, they dove it on each other and piled it up, and I'm like, yep, seen that coming. But yeah, I was hoping it was going to go green all the way. That'd been cool, but at least it was a little bit more, something to watch with that restart.
Oh yeah, it got quite interesting. That is for sure. Don't Like I said a while ago, whenever we dragged you in, I was kind of speechless. I didn't know what all to say, and still don't truly. But it was something else. That's for sure, Brandon. I don't know what else to say, but agree with you. Yep. Final thoughts of the overall season. I know you were here for about 70-60% of the races. You had some PC/moving troubles to worry about, so that's why you became ineligible for the playoffs, because you wasn't able to show up to the majority of the season. So nevertheless, your thoughts and also the final thoughts of tonight's race and shout outs you'd like to give.
Yeah, I think overall performance over the season was pretty good. I was happy with the pace. I felt like we could go out there at any track and be, top three, or contending for the win regardless of the track. So I was happy with the pace. Definitely happy with tonight's pace. Couldn't ask for a better truck than what we had. Like I said earlier on the broadcast when you pulled me, it wasn't loose or tight. It was pretty well neutral. It turned and done what you wanted it to do. Long run, it never did shove the nose, which is what I was worried about. No, and of course, just want to thank everybody who come out to watch, and thank the broadcast booth, and look forward to next season.
Well, we appreciate that, Brandon, and we appreciate you taking the time to talk to us. And congratulations on tonight's win. Hopefully, celebrate however you wish. Please do. And, hopefully be back next season in some capacity, shape, or form. And, again, congratulations on the overall season you had in general in the BNR Racing League. And congratulations on the win tonight as well.
All right, I appreciate y'all. Everybody have a good night.
Me too. Mr. Josh.
Yes, sir.
How's it going, sir?
It's going. Tried to create some excitement there on that last lap, that last corner, but can't ride the wall. That's a no-no. So I tried to create some excitement just by hitting the wall. There was no way I was gonna pass those guys. I tried. I mean, I had a decent strategy. I felt like it was a major gamble staying out that long, but I kind of tried to create a scenario to where I could force the guys that had a big jump on me when they pitted early or pitted in their windows to force them to drive a little harder to try to run me down and create a racing scenario that could possibly bring out a caution.
It ended up bringing one out, but...
Yeah, but it's not the way we would normally see it in a race. I don't know what happened back there with those guys. I don't know if that was 2 lap cars or what, but it was, like I said, it was a gamble. It's the last race. You gotta create some excitement. I knew I wasn't gonna be in position to win the race per se, but I was trying to treat the race as trying to win the race. So I tried to keep that mentality of max amount of points, max amount of positions as I can in the race. Richard's strong here, Brandon strong here, Barry strong here. Richard's Joe's had a great season. He's improved a lot over the past couple seasons. He was a real contender tonight. Me and him, we were duking it out there for a few laps, and it was like every time I had a truck on my outside, the truck wanted to pull. So I had to do a lot of throttle control. Really, a whole heck of a lot of driver discipline, which is very hard because you're trying to stay aggressive and not lose position or lose time on the trucks in front of you. But I stayed level-headed while battling with him, which is funny because me and him were just talking about that in the waiting lobby there. I braked, let him go when I was able to gain a little bit of time back just by me and him staying nose to tail and running our lines. But it's tough when you come to Phoenix, man. One second, one race it's great to you, and another race it'll kick you in the butt. But congrats to Richard, man. He worked his butt off for it. But I was trying to make it hard for him, man. And he came out on top. He had the better strategy and better skill.
Yes, sir, indeed, as well. Why don't you go ahead and give your overall thoughts and then your overall performance that you thought was pretty good tonight?
Long run, I have no complaints on the long run. I mean, we already knew going in if it was a long run, the trucks were going to get tight. I didn't anticipate how tight they were going to get. I still had rotation on entry. I just didn't have the rotation on center off. So I had to back up the corners, which got me in a rhythm, which surprisingly in the long run actually helped me. Which is why I stayed out so long during that pit window there. Normally I wouldn't do that. I would pit a few, I would stretch it past the leaders, 2 or 3 laps and then go in. But I think it was like 10 laps, 8 to 10 laps. I stayed out, which is not in my normal window, but the truck felt fine, so I ran with it and tried to create a scenario. It worked, but it worked a little too late for me. But overall, I mean, like I said, we knew the trucks were going to be tight, but these guys, especially the guys that put in practice throughout the week, they're hard to beat. Unfortunately for me, I didn't put in any practice, but our practice lobby before the race and kind of got an idea how the truck was going to be. But I mean, I'm happy with where I finished. I mean, given the short amount of time I had, it's fun racing with these guys. I enjoy it. It's a blast. I know you guys up there in the booth had some excitement. I just wish we had more excitement for the last race, but as we grow and get bigger fields, I'm sure we're going to have more than enough excitement. But all in all, I think it was a great race. Like I said, the guys are fighting hard, man. It's what we like to do, and it's what I like to see. I just wish we had more of it.
Yes, sir, indeed. Will, you got anything else for Josh?
Well, just congratulations on finishing 3rd place in the championship, and you did have good moments throughout the season of being consistent, and I said earlier, basically like being like Mark and Richard, and even like Joe at times. Everybody had their moments of where they were shining and being consistent, or having good runs throughout the season. I think everybody showed that respectfully, and everybody that was in this Final Four, I think, in a way, was a deserving champion. Whoever could have came out on top, whoever it could have been, and with what overall is like your final thoughts of the season, Josh, of how you performed?
I'm actually impressed and surprised at the same time. With what I ran, I know I had a bumpy start within the first 2 races. With the 1 race suspension, so I had to fight hard the rest of the season along with being consistent. I know going out and just mashing the pedal to the floor and going full throttle and giving it all you got, every lap of the race isn't going to get you anywhere. You have to be patient, which we all know I can be very patient, but my problem is I'm too damn patient. So I learned to be aggressive when I need to be and attack the track and not attacking the track position that I'm trying to gain, or the person in front of me trying to run them down and then pass them. It's the key here is to be smooth on the wheel, which I'm still trying to iron the kinks out on that. I've gotten better since I've improved my equipment, but it's still, that comes in time. and the more you run these tracks, in different times of day, different weather situations, and different drivers, each outcome is going to be different, but there's one thing that's going to stay the same is you're always going to improve and set yourself up, by looking ahead, on track and stuff like that. I will say I've gotten better at wreck avoidance. I still get caught up in them, but not like I did when I first came in and ran my first season with these guys. I was getting caught in every daggone wreck, and I was so aggravated. But the main key is just be patient and take what you can get early in the season, and then when it comes down to knuckling up and fighting for every position later in the season or in the playoffs, then you can go out and give it all you got, and and see what you're made of and what you learned and all that, and put all that on the table, and hopefully you can come out on top or be recognized as a fierce competitor. But I mean, I'm perfectly content with how I finished. P3 in a season, I think, is a great accomplishment. Everybody wants to be a champion, but you gotta put your time in, and you gotta be a fierce competitor. So I mean, I'm glad with what how I came out and who all I'm racing with, and it's just one of them things, man. We love this. This is what we do in our spare time, and we all have a love and passion for racing. So I'm just happy to be here and be a part of it.
Exactly, Josh. You allude to all the right things. Exactly. So, any final thoughts or shout-outs there, Josh, before we let you go?
Yeah, thanks for you and Brian for being up there in the booth and calling everything for us, and definitely for Brian for putting it on and keeping everybody in check, and and shout out to all the competitors for showing up, putting on a great season, and and some of the new guys that come in, they're learning by some of the veteran guys that are here, and it can only go up from here, man. I want to see more of it, and see how big we can grow and how far we can get.
Well, congratulations on the P3. I know it's not a championship, but P3 in the season, like you said, overall, not too bad of a result, especially from how you started to where you finish. And, always looking forward to next season to see what next season will bring. So thanks for talking to us tonight, Josh, and, celebrate and have a good night.
Yes, sir. We'll do it. I appreciate it, and we'll see y'all again.
Yes, sir. Last but not least, I know he's been waiting a while. Joe, good evening, Joe.
Hey, how's it going, guys?
Well,
All right.
Pretty good, Joe. Hope you're doing fairly well this evening as well. Fourth in the championship. It's just third runner-up. But still, nevertheless, that's fourth overall in the standings at the end of the season, and just from where you started to where you finished, kind of like Josh. Huge. Didn't. I wouldn't say kind of didn't expect it, but really, I would say you were the true underdog of the championship four. That, man, if there was anybody truly out of the four that, if I had to pick to be unbiased, like if I had to pick, and I would have had to say, I'm going to go with Joe. Like, huge underdog going in, and just got to root for the underdog type of story, but. You really showed some really good quick pace. You were keeping Josh at bay for the longest time, and it was almost like halfway, if not after halfway, until he got by you. So you were looking to be, hey, if anything happened to Mark or Richard, you were looking to be fairly in the window of, hey, I could win this thing, just got to keep Josh, at bay behind me, or dispose of him, perhaps. I'm just kidding, not the latter, but sure. Anything's possible. Anything could have happened, and we saw that tonight. We saw, like, I was kind of taken back that we didn't have some type of a early caution in the early going, of some type of, self spin or maybe, a wreck of some sort. What were your thoughts of tonight's race and also the thoughts of your season overall, Joe? Is what I'm trying to get to.
Well, as far as the race tonight, yeah, I had good pace early, but it was just falling off so bad, and I just didn't have a line that would allow me to deal with the fall off and still try to hold some speed. So I tried to change my approach on where my pit stop was going to be, and everything was kind of lining up when we got that caution, and I was ready to go fight for it, and then got tangled up with Richard when him and Mark got together, and the thing of it is, I had bumped the wall a few times. I wasn't anticipating on the second caution, so I used my quick repair right before that, and after that, it was over. Um, but congratulations to Richard for winning the championship, and Brandon tonight for winning the race. As far as my season, um, I'm I'm pretty happy with how my season went overall. Um, you know, I showed speed at a lot of the short tracks. My mile and a halfs are starting to get better. Um, I'm starting to consistently be top 6 or 7, and that's what it takes to get into the playoffs. And consistency of that caliber is what gets you up to the top. And as long as I can continue to build off of that, I'm looking forward to next season, and hopefully get some wins and give these guys a little bit more competition in the Final Four next year.
No, Joe, I really hope to see you back again in the Final Four next season in the BNR Truck Series, competition-wise, and because you do have a list of tracks that you're very strong at, and uh, you really show your potential at those tracks. And uh, got any final thoughts or any shout-outs you'd like to give, Joe, before we let you go for the evening?
Well, I want to thank you and Brian. You guys do an amazing job up there every week, making us look good, and putting on this broadcast for us. It's really nice when I go back on tomorrow and we watch this. Kind of kick myself on the things that I did do and the things that I didn't do. Half the time, you guys are already on top of telling me what I did wrong. So, but I do appreciate you guys on your broadcast, and I appreciate everybody that came out and watched. I appreciate everybody that came out and raced. We had a lot, and I mean a lot, of really good races, really clean races. And, the competitors that we've had this season, we've had some come in, some go out, and overall, it's a good group. And I've had a lot of fun racing with these guys this season. And I'm ready to get another season started.
Well, Joe, same as always. Thanks for the kind words for myself and Brian. And yeah, man, I just can't wait to see you next season in the trucks. And you're going to be some competition for everybody. Like you said, you're getting stronger and stronger each and every week, improving, week by week as well. So I think you're taking what you learn from every race and just stacking it, learning from what slight mistakes you may make or what you can do differently. Like you say, you learn to improve on it, and you do. I do believe so. Just can't wait to see what you are capable of bringing to the table next season, Joe. And just have a good night, man, and hopefully a good off season. And we'll see you hopefully strong next season.
All right, I appreciate you guys, and you
Yes,
guys
sir.
have a good night yourself.
Yep. We'll see you Thursday.
Yep.
All right, buddy. Have a good one. All right. Well, that'll do it here tonight from our channel here. These guys put a hell of a season together. A lot of ups, a lot of downs for most. Um, Once again, congratulations to the Final Four that had made it and continue to advance on throughout the weeks of the up and downs of their trucks throughout the season. So, and to those of you that continue the race, hell of a job, much appreciated, much love to keep me well on Tuesdays and giving you guys the show that you guys need. But overall, I would say a hell of a race, especially for those who are in the Final Four. It kind of intensed the little things up a bit. So, and once again, congratulations to Brandon winning the race, and once again, congratulations to Richard for locking up the championship here in the Truck Series. Well, what's your final thoughts of the overall race?
Well,
As I think we lose him. I believe so. Poor Will.